How's it going, everybody? Can you hear me okay? Very
Yes.
good. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was having some weird printer issues here. Strange. Sorry, guys, bear with me a second. I just closed out everything that I had to have open. While I'm getting this all set up, I'll get you guys out of here at a decent time tonight by 7:30. So it won't take very long because our main focus is going to be week 5 stuff, and especially the signature assignment as that opens up. My computer's battling me right now. And then my printer wouldn't show up, so I'm like trying to figure out why that is too. There we go. Okay, good. Oh, that works out perfectly. Get the chat screen open. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I cannot believe that we're already starting week 5. It's been absolutely, really sort of zooming by. Do you guys get that vibe? You guys can hear me, right? Yes. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So what I usually do, okay, what I usually do this second meeting is just talk about sort of the state of things in the class, give you guys some feedback on how you're doing right now, and then we'll talk about the signature assignment, and then I'll open it up for any questions you guys have or concerns, and then you guys are out of here. So what you're seeing on my screen is just week 5. You guys should be able to totally see this now. And the reason I bring this up is there's a couple little things, little nuances on week 5. Like for example, one nuance is the final presentation review is an assignment, but there's nothing that you need to do for that. So we'll talk about that stuff in a second. But so state of the class so far is everybody's doing an excellent job. There's a couple people I had to reach out to. I'm not going to mention any names just to make sure everybody's okay and get everybody up to par. And see if everything's good. But for the most part, there's only 10 of us in the class, 10 of you guys in the class. So, so it's a small group, but everything looks good so far in terms of your discussions and the assignments you're doing. You guys picked up the ball and ran with it. And so far, so good. Grading's been updated through week 3. I did a lot of that today, this afternoon especially, and publish those grades out to you. So you'll notice that the grades are due through, are updated through week 3. I actually went into a few of you that submitted your request to see if I approved your final presentation topic. And I think the 4 that I did see looked really good in terms of your topic choices. So awesome job there. I'm going to I take a little bit longer to do the philosophy of education papers just because it's a paper I got to read, so it takes some time. But I'll do the digital citizenship presentations first. I'm a little behind there on that, so I've gotten all the discussions and everything up through week 3 done. Just as a reminder, you can, or I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you on the first night that we met, but you can resubmit your fixed assignments to receive additional credit. It's always been my philosophy. I don't know how your other professors are, but if you didn't get the score that you wanted for something, like you didn't get the score you wanted, let's say for the APA paper, I give you an opportunity to resubmit that with changes based on my initial feedback, and then I'm always eager to help you out if you want to improve on something. Oh, and if whatever the assignment is closed for whatever reason, or you're having trouble going back and resubmitting it, let me know, and I can get that open back up. Just send me an email. As far as late work is concerned, just as a reminder, what it says on the syllabus about late work, because a few people have been turning in stuff late, and that's fine. You've been in contact with me, but the university's policy that's out of my control is you receive a 10% deduction for each day that it's late. And then after 1 week, I can only give you up to 50%, which is better than nothing. And then after that, after 1 week, I can't give any credit for it. So that can impact your grade. And so just double check those things and when stuff is due. The spiritual focus posts are great. I enjoy reading what you guys post, and you guys inspire me. Hopefully you guys are inspiring one another as well. And I appreciate you doing that and taking the time to do that and actually taking it seriously and sharing that with one another. So thank you for that. As far as the paper you guys just did, in any sort of resources that you're citing, like in the presentation, just make sure everything is APA 7th edition. I haven't had a chance to look at the papers at all, so I can't tell you if I've seen any that were not 7th edition format, but that you double check that. Sometimes I'll either remind you or have you go in and like fix it so it's up to par. And so that's something, again, that the university really wants us to make sure that you guys are doing. And typically with the class like 548, it's not an issue because you guys have taken a few classes already, so it's no issue there. So the APA paper 7th edition does not need a running header along the top, for example, and make sure you're careful with your indents on your resources, that's all correct, and that your pages are numbered. This is a reminder. Also, make sure your presentations are self-running that you do. That means like when I grade the digital citizenship presentation or your final presentation, that I should be able to hit play, and it's sort of a screencast usually of you talking and doing your presentation, and it's recording your audio. You don't have to have video of yourself, but it should be audio that's clear and I can hear you presenting it like you would present it to a group. Oh, and also that you make sure you elaborate on your bullet points. So if you've got something to say on a slide, make sure it's concise and that it's sort of an abridged version of what you're going to be talking about, because it really shows me that you know what the content is. And so hearing you kind of elaborate on those bullet points, they're really there just to keep you paced and to keep your audience, you know, on topic and to know what you're talking about. And then you should be elaborating on that. But that's just kind of like PowerPoint 101 stuff. But it does prove to me you know what you're talking about, rather than just, you know, reading it. There's nothing you need to do for live synchronous session 2. I think, Joanna, thank you for helping me out this week with you had a couple of really good questions about stuff. One of which was Canvas can get confusing with stuff. Like, for example, I didn't know this until I went to student view and I figured it out. What you see on my screen is sort of like, I get everything, right? Because I'm the teacher in the class and I get to see more stuff. But on the home screen, you may have noticed over here on your to-do list, my to-do list is a to-do list to grade your stuff. So it's different than your to-do list, which is why I didn't catch it. But it'll say to-do, it'll say live session 2, and it says that it is April the 18th, which is a week from today. And that may have been confusing to some of you because it seems like, oh, that's when we're actually meeting, when it's actually the due date. So just know that's the due date. I want to allow some of those people that weren't able to make it here, allow them enough time to actually submit that. Because if you were to go to assignments and you looked at live synchronous session meeting 2, down here at the bottom, and this is easily missed, is the alternate assignment. You guys don't need to worry about that, right? Because you're here. So you just being here, I do a report, I see that you're here, you guys get credit automatically. You don't need to do anything when it comes to this particular assignment. But anybody that's absent needs to do this, and they watch the video and stuff. That's why I post the video. So that kind of explains that and what that means in terms of that. So no worry for you guys being here, you get credit. Last but not least, make sure you respond to at least 2 other posts besides your initial post to receive full participation points. And that can be any 2 posts. So it could be, you know, replying, even if it's on 1 post, you could do 2 replies and that would count. So it's just a total of 2 besides your initial post. Okay, so coming up in the final few weeks ahead here, as we're heading into week 5, is the signature assignment. So if you go to module 5, hopefully you had a chance already since Saturday to look at the introduction. And you know, the main focus of this is pretty simple. You're going to be showcasing an emerging trend in education in terms of technological trend in education. I put in my notes to you that imagine you were giving this presentation for a staff development day at your site. So let's say an administrator came to you and said, hey, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to talk to the staff about an emerging trend or some sort of emerging pedagogy because you're the tech person on campus. You know, what would that look like? What would that be about? And so you have 8 to 12 minutes to do this if you look at the instructions on that. So if we go next, just bounce over here. This is the topic, so we don't need to see that. Next one, I think it is. Okay, so this is the important page here. You probably saw this too already. And a couple of really good examples if you want to look at that to follow through. There's some things on here, like she's got testimonials from little kids and students. My expectation that would be that you probably won't be able to do that. But if you do have live testimonials that you could take or video with your phone, and it is of your students because it's something the students are using, or even like staff is using, and you can just sit down with them for like 30 seconds and say, hey, let me film you talking about this. That's really, really good. That's just icing on the cake. Otherwise, you could always type out testimonials from like third-party websites about whatever the topic is or the resource that you're showcasing. You could do that as well. So I just, this particular, we used to call it the MARP, by the way, the Major Applied Research Project, but she did hers on BrainPop, on the one on the left there. And it's really, really good. So I don't want you to be afraid, but I do want to show you what got like a 4 out of 4, and you can kind of go from there. I'll talk about where you could, if you're worried about, okay, well, how would I actually lose points then if I didn't have testimonials of little kids? I'll go over the rubric with you guys and talk about sort of the different bumps in the road that you may hit along the way and how to avoid those. I think you guys all do fine. Most of my students get anywhere between 3.2 to 4 on task stream. And so those are definitely passing. Also, you need to know too that after you do this on task stream, I take the rubric and how you scored on that and have a little formula where I convert it over from it being, let's say you got a 4 out of 4 to actual points on Canvas, because it is worth 20 points. So 4, for example, would be a 20 out of 20. But anyways, I have a little formula that I do for that. So what's this thing about? So here's, you're basically going to pick a topic. You're going to tell me what that topic is this week, and I do my best to make sure that I approve this thing as soon as possible so that you have, it maximizes the amount of time you have. Because really, week 8 there's not much in the way, if you could believe it or not, during week 8 to actually work on it, because early in week 8, Monday night to be exact, of week 8, you're going to be posting a rough draft. And by rough draft, I mean, it could be pretty much finalized, but a rough draft in the sense that you're just asking two other people in the class to just watch it and then give you some feedback. It's not really a critique. It's anonymous, so you don't have to worry about the person seeing you. And I don't think that you can see who they are either. But what you want to do is look over the rubric and use that kind of as a guide for yourself to review the 2 people I assign you. So I'll do that automatically once Monday's over that last week. By Tuesday morning, you should see that you've been assigned 2 people to look at. It'll give you links. Hopefully they submit it, which is why it's important and imperative that you submit Monday and no later than Monday, because if it's submitted later than that, there's a couple people in the class that are waiting to actually review your project and they can't do it. And it is worth points for those 2 people. So, so if you want to be fair, you know, people are trying to get stuff done, so just keep that in mind. It does affect other people in the class if you turn it in late. Once you get the feedback and you do any changes that you want to, it's totally up to you. Then you're going to submit it to TaskStream, and you're going to provide a link to me that's a public link. So if you're worried about, oh, it's public, you know, you could keep it private for the time being until you're ready to turn it in, and then maybe switch it over to public. What I mean by that is like, let's say some people will do this. They don't use a screencast software to record their presentation. They use like YouTube. And so you can set that to public and private. If you set it to private, then I have to ask you for a password. And so it's just difficult to do. What I'll do on TaskStream, just so you guys know, is after week 8's over and the class is done for you guys, that week after that, I'm grading all those throughout the week. And usually by Friday, I have the final grades and et cetera. So I'm just using my time on the side outside of my normal job where I go in. And it is a little bit frustrating if I go in and I can't open it. And I'm like sitting down to grade and I can't open yours because it's blocked because it's set to private. So make sure that you have it set week 8 and then the week after that too. Just keep it as public. And then you're more than welcome after, let's say, the Friday of the last week, you can set it back to private if you're worried about that. But usually if you're putting it up on YouTube or something that's more public, I've never had an issue if you leave it as public of anybody getting bothered or harassed by the outside public. So it should be okay if you just leave it as public. But so you're going to research your topic, you're going to produce and edit your final presentation. If you take the digital citizenship presentation as kind of like a practice of how this is going to go, this is going to be a little bit more robust when we're talking about the amount of multimedia you might put into it. Like you might have some snippets of like third-party video that you can embed in your presentation. You might take some video yourself. You might screencast yourself showing how to do something on the computer. For instance, I've had students in the past that have done like Google Classroom back when it was more of a newer thing several years ago. And then they're showing how they actually use it right on their screen. So they're screencasting that, and then they plug that into their presentation, and then they screencast the presentation. So you're going to have like a bunch of different things. And you can use the rubric. I'll show you that in a second on how to do this and sort of how to kind of guide you along so you're not lost. You want to be excited about this particular technology. You don't want this technology to be something that you dread or maybe that you're not going to use. I remember way back when I did this, when I was going through my master's in 2008, I think it was kind of like the same thing. I was like, I want to pick a topic from the standpoint of what I'm going to actually teach in the classroom. That way I can actually use it later on. And it's something that might be worth a look. Also, though, if you are thinking of an area you know nothing about, but you're intimidated about that, don't let that hinder you in terms of your choice, because you might learn about it and then eventually like it later on. So something to think about. It runs between 8 and 12 minutes. Again, it has to be self-running. We should be able to hear you in your presentation. We want to obviously be able to see the presentation. What else could I say other than that? I think that is pretty much it. Oops, I see a mistake there. It says review 3 other presentations. It should only be 2. I'm gonna only assign you 2 and make it a little bit easier on you guys. So it does say 2 here, but sometimes there's these little discrepancies. So I do want to just go over the syllabus with you real fast. Let's open up in my browser. Yes, okay. So I think there's 5 key areas we're looking at. Your opening and concluding statements, your subject knowledge, your creativity and topic selection, your references, and your presentation mechanics. So I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to tell it to you practically, like basically what I do, what Tim does when I grade it, and the things that are important to me personally, and how you can get 4s in these areas. I expect you to be kind of excited about what your topic is. So if you start off with a nice beginning statement and say, you know, this is what the topic is, this is what I'm going to be covering, this is what you can expect to see, and be enthusiastic when you do it, and then have something in the end where you're kind of bringing it all together, you'll get a 4 in that area. Subject knowledge, the way that I kind of assess this has to do with you elaborating on your bullet points. Really, that's like a big deal for me. So if you're putting your bullet points and you're not reading it verbatim, I'll tell you every time I've had a student that just reads the slide verbatim, they usually get like a 1 or a 2 in that area, because I just feel like that they don't know their subject, they haven't practiced it. So make sure you guys don't read it verbatim, but just use the bullet points to kind of keep you paced along and guided. But when I hear you elaborating on it, I'm like, oh, they know about it. They could probably do this with their eyes closed. So I usually will give a 4 in that area. I'm looking for things like you explain what the technology is, but you also, cover things like the pros and cons. It's one thing if you're excited about it and then you just cover the pros. It's like usually there's some cons involved, like maybe it's a cost, like it's kind of an expensive technology. You guys, and you're telling your audience that they need to know about that. I like to see testimonials in terms of it being subject knowledge. It's like, okay, you're showing even statistics, some brief statistics or written testimonials about what the public is saying, to show that it is proving that it is an emerging trend and it's worthwhile as a way to enhance your instruction. In terms of topics in your topics selection and creativity, the topic selection, when you submit it to me, you don't really need to worry about that if I've approved it. We're just going to assume that if I've approved it, your topic selection is good to go. In terms of creativity on how you present that, again, showing things like testimonials, statistics, showing your pros and cons about the technology, being creative with how you can demonstrate things. Like if you're screencasting, if it's an actual thing the software you use on your computer, and showing how that actually works is pretty cool too. You can end up with a 4 in this section as well. References is probably the easiest one. As long as you include your references, you'll get a 4. And you need 5, I think, total references for this. Just make sure it's an APA format. And then last but not least is your presentation mechanics. This is another easy one. This is just that we can hear you. You have professional looking slides, and your images that you embed in there don't look really pixelated or unprofessional or anything like that. I think you'll do fine on that one. One thing I forgot to say about references is the other thing I look for in references is just put a link to the website. If you get a photograph, for example, from a website, see if you can get the URL to that image and put it really small right underneath your image. And it helps in terms of not just having the references at the end, but also citing where that image came from. Unless, of course, you took it yourself. But so other than that, I think I covered everything. If you're struggling to find a topic this week, you could always Google something like a good or best technology for K through 12 trending now or trending in 2022, and see what comes up. There's good websites like Edutopia. You could Google emerging trends in education, emerging technology trends in 2022, and see what comes up, or search your subject area, or ask colleagues, ask other people what they did, and if they have something that they're excited about or you've been thinking of, that might be a way to do it. And if you're still stuck, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here for you if you need me. And I think that is it. I'll open up to you guys for any questions you guys have.
I have a question.
Yes, Joanna.
So just out of curiosity, as a teacher yourself, is there some educational software or tool that you've used in your classroom that you love and can't live without and has totally enhanced your practice?
Yeah, I've had lots in the past. I think one that I used that comes to mind immediately, that I used to enhance instruction, and then it has its pros, but there was a couple cons. I'll tell you about what the cons were in a second. But the pros, the name of the technology was Classcraft. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that before. So Classcraft is, and I think they got the sort of like name as a spin-off of World of Warcraft. So you guys know Warcraft, probably heard of World of Warcraft, #1 selling video game of all time, right? What Classcraft was, though, it was a way for me to enhance my instruction with it had the ability to, it kind of started off as like classroom management system. And it was a game-based sort of learning management system. It turned into an LMS, but started off as like a classroom management system. So Classcraft's been a while. It's been around for a while now. So it wouldn't be something I would suggest doing as one of your as one of your topics, just because it's been around for so long now. But if you wanted to do like, I really dig the area of game-based learning and gamification, and sort of the difference between the two. If you probably heard of both, the difference between the two, and how I would define both of those is gamification would be like turning your class into a game, and game-based learning would be like Kahoot, where you're using a game to instruct. So there's a difference there. So Classcraft was definitely gamified. So it turned your class into a game. The students had like a character they made, and there were different character classes. So it kind of had like a Dungeons and Dragons sort of a feel to it, where you have cooperative sort of like play, and the kids could earn badges and earn like loot and stuff. But it was the con to it, though, is it's a big time sink for you. So it's something that you do have to manage in your classroom, in addition to the stuff you already have to do. So it just sucked a lot of time away. And so, and then some of the kids would kind of like drift off topic because they were kind of getting carried away with this. And I'm like, look, you still have to like stay on task with the stuff. So, and that was, again, few and far between. It had more positives, but it was, like I said, it was a ton of work for me. So does that?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I have a topic that I want to use. I was just curious to know, as a teacher yourself, what you felt like is something that just comes to mind.
And again, just personally, I'm kind of like, I like different types of like games myself personally. So it was neat to kind of bring this into the classroom and see how it worked. Another really good resource that's more of a game-based learning resource, because that's kind of my niche. So if you were to give me this assignment, I would definitely go gamification, game-based learning, and see what new stuff is out there. The kids love games, and so it's a tough job as a teacher nowadays to compete with things like Snapchat and Instagram and the games on the phone and their cell phones and all that. And so that's why teachers are trying their best to incorporate some of these technologies so that the kids aren't easily getting sidetracked or getting bored. It's like, okay, if you're going to have your cell phone in your hand, I'm going to make you use it, type of thing. But another one that was a good resource is Minecraft EDU. And so that's more game-based. You're using Minecraft to teach through Minecraft, and there's just all kinds of like lessons out there that people we're going crazy with, different teachers we're going crazy with, and you could use it at all grade levels. I have a 20-year-old son and he still plays Minecraft from time to time. I have a junior in high school. So it's like, oh, sometimes like even with Classcraft, I was like, is this like good for that grade level? Like, or is it a little too juvenile for him? And the kids just ate it up. The kids just ate it up. It was nuts. But yeah, so Minecraft EDU is another good one. So that was kind of like my forte is doing game-based and gamified learning stuff. Any other questions? Quiet group tonight.
I got a question, kind of. How specific
Yes.
do you want on topics? Like the topic that I posted in the discussion was artificial intelligence in the classroom. Is that too vague?
No, that's totally fine. Obviously a big umbrella there. But that has been a hot topic in the last couple of years, and one that's definitely worth a look. And what's going to end up happening, Jordan, is that you're going to find more of a specific thing that you're going to kind of focus in on. And I'm curious to know what that's going to be in the end. So I think that's a fantastic topic. Yep.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to topics, I was actually going to ask for gamification on mine, but I wasn't sure if that would be too
No,
soon, because I know
it's
there's like
funny.
a hoop, there's other games out there that I've been using in my class, so that's why.
Yeah. It's funny coming off of what Jordan's just asking. I'm like, no, that's not too broad. And then I'm like, okay, gamification. If you were to say, can I do gamification? I usually will follow that up with, that's not a new emerging trend. However, within the realm of gamification, can you find something that is like within the last 5 years within the umbrella of gamification?
Yeah, that's what I
So
was
we can
curious
always
about, 'cause I
find
found some new games.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can always find something to accommodate what you guys want to do. I'm not going to be quick to go, no, you can't do that, unless it's something very specific, but it's old and you don't know that, or something like that, like something specific, like a certain type of software that may have been around for 10 years. Even then, I'm like, okay, maybe they have a new component to it that they've updated, or it's been updated. Like Minecraft EDUs, I think is older than 5 years, but maybe there's something new and emerging that people are doing with Minecraft EDU. And I'd be like, okay, see if you can get back to me and see if anything exists within that realm that you can prove that it's an emerging trend using Minecraft EDU. And then the student usually get back to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that'll work. You can do a whole presentation on that. So. Any other questions? Marisol, Katie, Zach?
I do have a question. So
Yes.
it was kind of funny because I guess I wasn't the only one that was considering gamification. I actually posted my discussion post like right before the Zoom meeting, but I specifically wanted to do like with mathematics. So like using like Prodigy or happy numbers, for example. So would that work, even though gamification is considered a older trend, like specifically going into mathematics?
So you said, what were the names of them? Prodigy and what else?
Happy numbers.
Okay, never heard of it. Probably elementary math. Is that
Yes.
where your area? Okay. And as long as you could say, hey, they just came out with it, it's only a couple of years old. Sometimes, let me look this up and show you.
I know happy numbers is relatively new.
My kid who's in high school, I know, did Prodigy back in elementary school, so I feel like Prodigy would fall under the realm of being old.
Happy numbers release date, usually happy numbers release date. Sometimes those keywords will bring up.
I provided a
I'm
link
not
on my
able to find
discussion
it.
post to it.
Is it Happy Soft?
No, it's
It is
literally
Happy
happy
Numbers?
numbers.
The heck, man. I like literally Googled happy number. Maybe it's because I put a space in it. Okay, happy numbers. Let's see if we can go to about. Sometimes that'll. It does say copyright 2022, so that sounds like it's good. But usually I'm looking for an about us, but I don't think I see it there. But I'm guessing that's probably fine. Right. I don't know a thing about it, but I think you'll be okay. We'll just. No one's going to come to me and go, "Hey, Alexandria isn't 5 years." I think it'll be fine. Good.
I was
Thank
just
you.
gonna say, like you mentioned, even if we use a software program or platform that might be like a 2012 date, if they've added on a new feature or something that is new and emerging, wouldn't that, be probably appropriate?
Sure. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, typically what I'll do is, let's see what you guys come up with first and then kind of address it and see if we can get you with a topic that you want. And so in most cases, I think we could accommodate it. Sorry, Alexandra, I just am seeing your chat up here. Unlisted on YouTube. Yeah, probably. I don't post too many videos on YouTube, but I think that would probably be okay if you're worried about like privacy issues.
Professor, this is Katie Kim. I had a question.
Yes.
So I posted that I wanted to talk about an emerging trend, which was virtual reality and how VR can be integrated. I mentioned on my post that VR was invented back in like the 1950s, but just recently
Right.
like applications and whatnot have been coming out made for the classroom. And so I was going to take more of a what can be done if this technology is integrated, because due to like cost being the largest factor, there's not too much like tangible experience of like virtual reality implemented into a lot of classrooms around the nation. So will that be okay if I'm
Right.
taking it from that perspective?
Oh yeah, I think so. That's another one that's kind of a hot topic right now, and it's constantly changing. And I know there's new stuff out there for VR for education specifically. So you have a lot of areas you could focus on. Obviously, VR is really broad, so you probably want to narrow down to maybe a new software in VR for education that's out there that's emerging. Just as throwing out ideas, but yeah, I would certainly, and I think I did approve it. I don't know if I think I approved it. Yeah. So I gave it my blessing.
All right. I just wasn't sure if I had to like personally have had experience like utilizing it or implementing it in any sort of way.
Oh, no, nope.
For wearable technology, could I be able to limit it to just how it can be used in the special education setting in the classroom?
Well, wearable, if it's new wearable technology, because that one, gosh, has been around for a little while. And I've had some of my SPED teachers in the past do that one. So let's see if you can come up with something specific in that realm that's kind of new. It's not my area of expertise, so I'm open for suggestions and us kind of opening some dialogue there. Marisol, if you find something specifically and you want to write me this week, and then I can do a little research on my own too, and then give you my approval.
Okay.
I'm sure there's probably something in there that's new and emerging.
Yeah, because I mean, if I can remember, I forgot what class it was. We had to do the set. And it was kind of like, assessments of, students in the classroom and what kind of assistive technology they could use in the classroom. And I remember there was a few that we came across that they were wearable, like for one, for example, was it could alert the teacher if the student was about to have a seizure, things like of that matter. So I was thinking along those lines.
Yeah, I think that would be good, and and it's from your area, probably help you out a lot. So I think that would be okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Holly, you're okay? Angelina, you good? We're just listening.
Well, I kind of wanted to like
All
go
right.
more into it, but I wanted to give everyone else a chance to grab you first.
And yes, I am listening. I just have a lot of, I'm taking it all in too.
Okay. And Angelina, what did you want to ask?
The two games I had in mind in specific were Blookit and GameKit. I just kind of looked up the release date. So it was, I think once it's like kind of started in 2017 and 2018. So it's kind of on the cusp. But I know I've just heard of it with being, you know, because it's kind of like a Kahoot, but it is more game-based, and my kids love it. They beg me to do them all the time. So that's kind of the direction I wanted to go in for the games.
Yeah, if you're right around 2017, 2018, that's totally fine. Yeah, I think that's within the realm of 5
Okay,
years. So
perfect.
you should be good that way.
Okay, thank you.
Now you have to flip a coin to decide which of the two you want to do, or showcase them both.
I was gonna say, can I do both? Because they're both similar. Yes, Blookit's amazing. GimKit's just a little bit more, it's a little more like strategy based, even though they are answering questions like in between. So they kind of answer questions to like earn money, and they kind of have to like buy things and buy upgrades, but they're like, it's very much makes them have to answer questions. It's very cool.
Yeah, you could talk about game-based learning, kind of like introduce that a little bit and say, here's 2 examples of that, and then go into both of those and the different nuances of both of those resources. Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else? I was going to open it up to you too. If you don't have any questions, I have all you guys logged. You have credit for being here. You don't have to stick around anymore as I answer these questions. I know some people are like, I don't want to be rude, but I'm good, and they want to go. So it's up to you, but I'll stay on as long as the last person needs my help. So, but yeah, you're free to go. You guys got the credit. If you do take off, I do want to wish you guys luck in the last few weeks, and can't wait to see what you guys come up with in your final presentation.
I have a quick question. Do we have a date for our do we have another synchronous meeting, or was this it?
This is it. So what I usually do, and gosh, I haven't had to do a third meeting in probably years now, but the third meeting is optional. And so this is meeting 2 that counts as live session 2. So yeah, you're good. There's no other meetings after this one. The only time that I would ever say that we could schedule a meeting, and I've even done one-on-one, is I've had some people that were a little nervous or something heading into like week 7 as they work with this final presentation. And I'm like, okay, let's go on Zoom. If we can't tackle over the phone the issues that you're having or answer any questions, we can certainly go on. And sometimes I've had to demonstrate, and the only way to do that's on Zoom. So we kind of have like an informal meeting, and then I'll put it out there or something if there's enough time, and say, hey, we're gonna have a meeting 3 that's optional. You can show up if you want and listen to it. So, but
Okay,
again, I
thank
haven't
you.
had to do anything like that, but it's certainly optional.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, take care.
And can I speak with you after everyone, please, Professor Holder?
Yes, no worries.